For generations on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, it might take months, if not years, for a burial to take place, and even funerals are not farewells. Is this a morbid obsession, or could it be a healthier way of dealing with the grief of losing a loved one? Hi dear, welcome to the Boss Lifestyle, the best channel on YouTube for the curious. Today we are going to be talking about the Indonesia burial ritual. Now, let's get to the video. Death is an unspoken taboo for many, but for the residents of the Toraja area of Sulawesi, Indonesia, the dead are an everyday part of life. Rather than investing for a lavish life, they save a fortune for a lavish death, a funeral celebration. Torajans are fully at ease among the dead, which may seem weird to the rest of the world. Death in this society is significantly less definite than in other civilizations, only a transition from one location to another, rather than a finality. It is not uncommon for individuals to live in their family houses for many years after they have passed away. Toraja people believe that the spirits of the deceased are present among them, watching over them and blessing them. That is why they are termed Makula, or merely ill, not yet dead, before the burial ceremony is done. The inhabitants of Toraja hold their deceased with great regard. The Toraja were practically shut off from the rest of the world for generations. Their ancient religion, Aluk was passed down the generations as a mix of ancestor worship, folklore, and animal sacrifice. The Toraja thought that their forefathers and mothers had come down from the skies. They would return to Paya, the land of souls in the sky, after a burial. The majority of the populace converted to Protestantism or Roman Catholicism when Dutch missionaries established schools in Toraja in 1913. Despite their conversion to Christianity, Toraja funeral ceremonies, such as the killing of buffalo, are still heavily inspired by the ancient faith. The traditional rites have simply been absorbed into Christianity. Despite the fact that the bulk of them are Christians, they faithfully perform the rite of keeping the dead. Traditionally, the deceased are buried or burned within days of death. However, the Torajan people keep the remains of their relatives at home for years after they pass away. They give the corpses their own apartments, bathe them, and change their attire on a regular basis. Food and smokes are delivered to them twice a day, and they have a toilet bowl in the corner. Formalin, a preservative, is injected into the corpses of the deceased to prevent them from decomposing. The thought of having a deceased man's corpse on display at home seems strange to those outside the tribe. For more than 1 million people in this region of the globe, though, it's a centuries-old practice based on animist beliefs. The belief that every natural object in the cosmos has a soul blurs the distinction between this world and the next. It might take months, if not years, after someone passes away before a funeral is held. Meanwhile, the families keep their dead corpses at home and treat them as if they were ill. The departed are never left alone, and when it becomes dark, the lights are always kept on for them. Aside from tradition, another important reason why families take such excellent care of the bodies is because they are afraid that if they don't, the spirits of their deceased loved ones would cause them problems. For the Torajans, burial is one of the most significant events. Many of them have worked their whole lives to accumulate money in order to arrange a dignified burial for themselves and their loved ones. In fact, the Torajan funeral, dubbed the Rambu Solo, is rather costly. A family's typical funeral expense might reach thousands of dollars. As a result, many families keep their deceased relatives in their houses until they can afford a decent burial. Indeed, a person is not considered dead until his or her burial. They are known as Makula, an ill person, until then. They bury the deceased near the home after they have saved enough money for the burial and do not exhume the grave for 3 years. The sacrifice of buffaloes and bulls is the first step in the burial procedure. The Torajans then adorn the deceased's dwelling with their horns. More horns indicate more reverence for the deceased. Also, instead of being buried on grounds, the bodies are frequently interred in wooden coffins within rock tombs, caverns, and cliffs. The bodies of the dead newborns are stored in tree hollows. To keep the corpses from rotting, The villagers wrap them in numerous layers of garments. A large number of animals are killed in preparation for the burial. First, roosters are sacrificed days before, then pigs, for their spirits to feed the dead, and finally, buffaloes, who are considered the vehicle to the afterlife, ensuring the body's passage to Paya or the afterlife, guarding against demons and dangers of the underworld, emitting light in all directions, plowing through smoke, fog, darkness, and lead. Water buffalo, a currency more precious than money in Toraja, are the most prized presents, and you already know that they will be butchered over the following several days, and the flesh divided among the visitors. After the burial, they pull their departed loved ones out of their coffins, clean them, and outfit them in new clothing once every 3 years to remember their lives. This is known as the Manin, and it is one of the most heartfelt celebrations for the Torajans to remain linked to their loved ones for a long time, even after they have died. In English, the Manin rite is known as the ceremony of washing corpses. People on the island believe that their loved ones' souls stay near them after death and ought to be cared for. As a result, they provide them with food, drink, and even cigarettes. After a person dies, family members and relatives employ preservatives to mummify the corpse in order to postpone the decomposition process so that it may be exhumed 3 years later. Toraja people do not consider death to be the end of life. Rather, many see it as the start of their spiritual journey. They remove the detritus from the bodies and redress them in fresh garments after opening the tombs. They also store personal goods such as jewelry, eyewear, and other objects close by. The Manin ceremony draws a great number of visitors from all over the globe. After obtaining permission from the community, several of them photograph the rite. Some men sing folk songs and perform traditional dances representing mourning during the rite to honor the departed's family and relatives. While many visitors find this practice disturbing and strange, it is a wonderful Torajan custom that keeps them permanently tied with their family members, even after death. So folks, what do you think? Is this a morbid preoccupation or a better method of coping with the sadness of a loved one's death? Do you think that this culture is unusual? Which other burial rituals or cultures seem strange to you? Do share your thoughts with us right down there in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Here are some other videos we think you might like. If you liked this video, hit the like button below the video and click subscribe to join us on the Boss Lifestyle, and we will show you many more wonders of the world.